Hey there, and welcome to episode 19 of the Three Frosted Mugs, a Fiad Entertainment Group production. I'm Rodney, and here with me is Chad.
Hello, Steven.
Hello, Chad. And we've got Matt. Matt's getting down on some Chinese.
What's up, guys?
That does look like some good orange chicken.
It does. It smells delicious. It smells delicious.
I'm about to get him to toss me one of those nuggets over here.
If we get that on in the shot, that'd be awesome.
Especially if I caught it in my
It'd
mouth.
be incredible. You know what? Worst case scenario, you'd fly back into the screen here and...
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
I mean, into the rocks behind us. Well, like I said, it's episode 19. We just had Christmas. Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, Santa was good to me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was your favorite gift that you got?
The love from my wife.
Good
The
answer.
Swiffer.
So now my wife got the Swiffer. Now we have the cleanest floors ever.
Did someone leave a box at your front door, like ring the doorbell, like the Swiffer commercials?
Yes.
And then you guys danced around after cleaning, and you're like, I didn't know there was dirt here.
I've never seen the commercial, but that's exactly what
You've
she
never
said.
seen any of those
No, but that's
commercials?
exactly what she said when she first used it. She goes, "Oh my God, look at this dirt here, and we just cleaned it the other
That
day."
literally is like the commercial. I
Yes.
mean, word for
That's
word.
exactly what happened. That's no joke.
That's awesome. And Matt, you said like your favorite gift.
Was a guitar that I got. My first Ibanez guitar.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man teach himself how to play the guitar through a video game, correct?
Correct. Rocksmith 2014.
That's awesome. So if you want to learn how to play the guitar, do that.
Play
Do they have
video
that for
games.
like the flute or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
Clarinet?
Probably not.
The cymbals? No?
Those
Nothing
are the
like
cool
that?
instruments these days.
I'm all about the woodwinds, man.
Just saying.
Electric rhythm, electric lead, and acoustic. No, not acoustic. And bass. Sorry.
Oh,
Play
nice.
bass is only four strings.
When I was a young kid,
Gotta be easier.
I wanted to play the trumpet, and when we went to the music store, the guy goes, "You don't want to play the trumpet. Girls don't like trumpet players. They like bass players." And I was like, forget you. And then little did I know he was right.
And here you are, single playing the
Playing
trumpet.
the brr, brr, brr.
But I'm so good.
I'm really good at it.
But you can be a good trumpet player and not get any tail. But you can be a terrible bassist.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
In the 20s, though, man, you had been racking it up.
Definitely.
Racking it up, Louis Armstrong style. Yeah. You know, that's my Louis Armstrong. All right. Well, let's get right into it. This is the last episode before the new year. It's the 29th. I'm very excited about 2015. And we are also going into the playoffs. But you know what? Before all that, let's talk about the Wizards, because the Wizards are on a roll. Let's discuss that.
Let's do it. They just beat Houston last night. Was it 103, 102?
104, 103.
Same thing.
Pretty much. All I know
is
is it's 50% off Papa John's, and that's all that matters.
this is true.
I've had 50% off pizzas this season.
So you got buy 15, get 7.5 free.
Pretty much, yeah. But I also I use that money to go toward the wings.
Well, you have to. That's how they get you in. You buy other stuff. Gets me every time. I need to take advantage of that. Anyway, the Wizards are 22-8. They're rolling. They're only a game and a half back of Toronto. 8-2 their last 10. Would you say 9 wins their last 11?
Yeah, 9 of the last 11.
So they're rolling. They've played some good teams. It's not like they've.
Last night being one of them. That was a big win last night.
Yeah, they haven't really had to play. Now they're playing Dallas tonight. I believe that's on the road. It's at Dallas, and Dallas is 22-10, so pretty much the same record. Washington's 22-8. So it's kind of one of those things where you'd like to bounce back after a big win on the road like that at Houston. You'd like to bounce back, or you'd like to come back off of that, get a win at Dallas, because coming up on Friday, you go to Oklahoma City.
Yes. And Oklahoma City's 15-7 right now, but I think they've I haven't really checked what they've most recently been doing, because I know that Durant was out for quite a while at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they're giving up 96 a game, so it's not like they're actually, they're not killing it on the defensive side. So that's a team that we should be able to go in there and take advantage. And they're playing. Durant's been out, but they've been playing fairly good. They're 2 games under 500. A lot of that, earlier on was without both Durant and Westbrook. So it's a team that that you figured you want to go in there and should be able to handle them. But on the road against a team like that, up tempo team. That's always easier said than done.
Well, and you got to think too, if they can pull this road game. Oh my gosh, I can't think today. Sorry, I'm a little bit lagged. Apologize. But if they can pull out just like 50% wins here, they've beat Houston. If they can pull out a win against OKC and then a win against, then they have the Spurs and then New Orleans after the Thunder. So it's not an easy road
And even after, the only cupcake they'll have in there after that is then they come home for New York and Chicago. New York's terrible. They should beat them. Chicago should be a good game. Then you got Atlanta, Spurs, Chicago.
Good
Brooklyn's terrible. Play Brooklyn. But, there's some good teams. When you talk about playing teams in the Western Conference, as far as San Antonio, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Houston, all those guys, you're going to have to bring it, especially on the road, because those teams are stacked and, they're – in my eyes, there's probably only about 5 to 7 good NBA teams, really good NBA teams.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have average teams and teams that are terrible, just because I think a lot of it's watered down. Teams like Houston and San Antonio, I'll put in that category as really good basketball.
I was going to
teams.
say, are those 5 to 7 all in the Western Conference? Because that's what it would appear to me.
Yeah, except for Toronto.
In Atlanta?
I still have to wait for Toronto. Atlanta, no, I'm going to put them in the good, but not the really good status. Toronto, they're unproven. They're playing really good now. They're getting a lot out of Kyle Lowry, in my opinion, one of the top point guards in the league right now. Atlanta, yeah, they're playing really good, but again, all Atlanta does is go to the playoffs and lose. I'd love to look up a stat to see how many times. It seems like they're always in the playoffs, but they always lose. And that seems like it's happened ever since Dominic. Yeah,
They're the Buffalo of basketball.
But even worse.
They don't even make it to the championship.
Yeah. It seems like that ever since like Dominique Wilkins and all that gang. Chicago, they're 22-9 right now. Excuse me, they're a 4 seed, but I consider them. They're a good basketball team. They're a tough out, especially now with Derrick Rose. If he can stay healthy and Paul Gasol killing it like that, you got Paul Gasol and Joakim Noah down the paint. That's tough on the defensive side to do anything with them. Cleveland, they're not playing. They got good players, but they're not playing good team ball right now. So. As far as the Eastern Conference, you talk about like Washington and Chicago, I think are in a class of their own, even though they're at the 3 and 4 seed as of right now.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like playing these Western teams. They beat the Clippers, right? Beat the Clippers. They beat Houston now. If they beat Dallas tonight, that's a huge statement for the Wizards.
I agree. And like I said, Dallas is 6 and 4 their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. They're sitting in the 5 seed right now, only 3.5 games back of Golden State. So and Dallas is 10 and 5. Dallas is 12 and 5 at home. So they've got their work cut out for them. Washington's 8 and 4 on the road. It makes up to be a pretty good game. I'd like to see what the line is, but I don't feel like trying to dig it up right now.
We're not here about that. We're here about the stats.
All about that action, boss.
All about that action. Was living it up on Bourbon Street, yeah.
But yeah, then you talk about. We were talking about we always bring up the doo-doo team. Right now, the doo-doo team in the league is Philadelphia.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
been like that since the beginning. It's still like that. They're terrible. And the bad thing is I'm looking at it. They're 4 and 25. They have not won at home yet. They're 0 and 14 at home. Poor
Philly.
Sixers fans. I guess they got ruined because all those years they had, Dr. J, they had Charles Barkley. Then they got a little bit of a taste with Allen Iverson, and now they got
Nothing.
Shit.
Nothing. Nothing. And they had some hope with the Eagles at some point, making it into the play. No. Nope. The Washington Redskins ruined that chance.
Yeah, poor Eagles because not poor Eagles because I hate them, but you kind of it's like because they're a good football team this year especially. But you look at like the Cardinals of last year, they went 10-6, just like the Eagles did this year, missed the playoffs. So it's kind of. It sucks to be 10-6 and not make the playoffs.
Yeah, who would have thunk it, right? In that division there.
Did we just move over to?
I'm sorry. The whole Philadelphia thing. I'm just thinking about. What else do they have? Like the Flyers, but what is that?
That's hockey, right?
Yeah, we don't even.
Do they have Is there a major league soccer team? Do you know in Philadelphia?
No,
Not
the Philadelphia
yet.
Founding Fathers. I think is what they call them. Did you say not yet? Is there?
I know there's going to be one for Pennsylvania coming up, but I'm not sure if that's released or not. And I think the Crew is like the farthest northeast that you have for the MLS.
Yeah. Well,
Not
What are they
positive
gonna
on that.
like?
one
be
thing
the,
is for sure: death, taxes, and I'll never go to a professional soccer game. Those 3
I've
things.
never seen you at one.
I said one thing's for sure, then I just named off 3. But that is a lock.
One of these 3 things are for sure.
I may not die. I may not pay taxes.
May not pay but I will never go to a professional soccer game ever.
Ever.
I was just looking up John Wall. You know what his middle name is? Hildred.
Hildred?
Hildred.
Gotta be a family name.
I mean, it has to be, right?
John Hildred.
That's interesting. Man, really makes you look back on your life when you're looking at a 24-year-old and they're just like superstars. Happy birthday, LeBron James, by the way, 30 years old. We graduated the same year and went on completely different paths in our lives.
But if you wanted to play basketball, you would probably be a shooting guard.
Yeah, definitely.
For the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I'm quick. I mean, I can't run without a basketball in my hand, but put a basketball in my hand and that 5'6" turns into like a 4'8".
Starting shooting guard, 5'10", 237 pounds.
I sound like a professional wrestler.
Or a fullback.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the most out of shape fullback ever.
Well, we talked about John Wall. He had a double. Speaking of Hildred, speaking of JH,
I'm definitely calling him Hildred from now on.
Yeah, because you see him a lot.
Me and John were like this.
But he's averaging a double. He's averaging 17 points and 10 rebounds.
I was just looking. I think maybe 3 or 4 times this season has he had under 10 points scoring.
Yeah, he's playing really good. He's leading the team right now with 17.6 points a game. With Bradley Beal just behind him. See, that's what I mean. They got a lot of balance. I mean, there's no guy. You don't have like a 28-point score and then like a 15 and then like a 7. And I mean, they've got some all around good scoring going. They got 1, 2, 3. I mean, they got 6 guys averaging in double digits right now. And with Chris Kardashian averaging 8 points right behind him.
Hey, he was a good pickup. He ended up being a really good pickup.
Yeah, but he was terrible for me in FanDuel last night.
Well, I mean, that was your own fault. That was your own. By the way, first time ever playing NBA FanDuel and almost won. I was this close.
You were right
this
there.
close. 7 points beyond. But
real quick, Russell Butler, what does he do for a living?
I plays basketball.
Okay.
For the Wizards.
That's your weekly test. And I'm looking at Paul Pierce is still averaging 27 points a minute. Makes me a little bitter.
27 points a minute?
27 points a game. 27 minutes a game.
He's scoring 27 points a minute?
That dude is bad. How is Boston losing?
He is the truth. I mean, they should be like 400 to 100 in their scores.
All about that action, boss.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, he's still about 30 minutes, but I mean, he doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all.
No, let him go. I mean, I keep pushing for less minutes, but let him go.
No one's listening to your cries.
Randy Whitman's not listening. I mean, I guess he don't listen to the show.
Not listening to a word you're saying. No, I think he is a fan. I think he does listen to the show.
He should. I mean, DeJuan Blair's averaging 0.9 points a game. That's good production. That's the last guy on the bench. How is that even possible? That's the last guy on the bench. He may have scored a couple points this year.
What do you get, like 2.5 minutes to play for the season?
Very little. He's averaging 4.6 minutes a game.
That's gotta feel like I've never played professional basketball. I've never played professional basketball. Believe it or not.
I did not know that.
Believe it or not, but I've never played like a organized basketball game before, so I can't even imagine how that equates to what that feels like. You know what I mean?
He probably had somebody must have been out, or they must have been either up big or losing big, and he got to play some minutes because he's definitely not a crime. I mean, he's the last guy on the bench. He's still making probably $250,000 a year.
We're hoping in DC.
I don't feel sorry for him.
No, absolutely not. I don't feel sorry for any professional athlete because they're still making more money than I'm probably making.
Yeah.
I would say yeah, unless they're a professional soccer player. I don't even know how much that makes.
Look at the Matt. Can you after you get done eating, I look over to ask him something. He's got orange chicken just like a squirrel. Can you look up the average salary of a major league lacrosse player?
Oh, a good one. That's
probably less than soccer because soccer there's at least some guys that wear skinny jeans that watch.
People put
soccer.
A lot of money inside. Well, it's a big, beyond the boundaries of the United States, it's huge.
The world out there.
Yeah, and in like the flat areas of the United States.
I mean, guess soccer does have the biggest event in the world.
It does.
I hate to say it.
And the most corrupt, but we won't even get into that.
Hold on, let me guess. You take a guess and I'll take a guess.
We're going per year, right?
The average salary, is that what you found?
All right, I'm gonna say 6 figures, like $150,000.
Oh no, I want to go lower. I want to say like $58,000 a year.
Matt, $2,200.
Oh man. Okay, so the source of this is laxallstars.com, and the article stated that the average salary for a MLL player was between $10,000 and $30,000 a year.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, I was really giving them too much.
That's like less than teachers.
You gotta have a side gig.
You got to, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, like when you go out and you try to pick up chicks, you say, I'm a Major League Lacrosse player. Or do you just say, because then automatically she's like, oh, no, you don't make no money. Or you just
I
say,
don't know if there's
you know
too
what?
many.
I'm a professor
I don't know.
at Harvard. Well, I mean, what would you rather do?
I don't know if there's too many folks. Like, I wouldn't know if someone said I'm a professional lacrosse. I'd be like, oh wow, you popping bottles of champagne, Cristal, and all that sorts of shit.
Yeah, they're like, no, I'm drinking Miller High Life, as a matter of fact.
I'm on the pitcher's deal.
The Harvard thing is kind of like the exception because anybody that teaches at Harvard is getting paid loads of money because of the amount of education that they've had to go through. I'm talking like teachers that teach at public high schools.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I was trying to equate it to like a Major League player.
You'd pull so much tail if you were a teacher that played lacrosse. I have no idea. Is that even a thing?
Yeah. That's your side gig.
Yeah.
You're a professor at Harvard, and you play lacrosse.
It's like Indiana Jones being an archaeologist and a professor, right? Isn't that how that works?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Deal.
I'm definitely going to name my kid Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford Clark.
Definitely. Do we have time to move to anything else before the end of halftime? I feel like the halftime is flying by. We're already 15 minutes in.
Yeah, we can touch on the. You want to go on, talk about a little NFL?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
What game you want to? You want to start with the Saturday games?
Yeah, we can do that.
We got the 11-5 Arizona Cardinals going on the road to face the 7-8-1 Carolina Panthers.
Ridiculous.
Stupid.
Ridiculous.
But that being said,
they could easily beat Arizona.
Because if Drew Stanton's not back, I don't know what he's looking like. But if he's not back, that leaves Ryan Lindley still to lead this.
So
team.
you could have a 7-8-1 team beating an 11-5 team in the wild card round of the playoffs.
Well, it happened before. I think when the Seahawks won it, the last team to win it were like 7-9, and they beat the Saints. That's been a few years ago. But yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, something's got to be done about that. But then if you change I guess the way not the seedings are, but if you change like say in this case the 11-5 teams on the road,
right?
But if you change that over and Carolina went to Arizona, how do you change that? And then there'll always be just like kind of like the college playoffs. There's always going to be something to bitch about.
I heard something about the idea of letting 2 more teams in. And then doing a reseeding once the regular season is over. I don't know how all that works. I have a hard enough time deciding tournaments when we do cornhole tournaments, like as far as like who plays who. So I can't even imagine coming up with this.
Well, right now, Drew Stanton's out, they're saying.
Okay.
So right now, Arizona Cardinals, the Panthers are a 5.5-point favorite. So 7-8 teams, a 5.5-point favorite over 11-5 team. I tell you what, I'd take the points and give me 5.5 in the Cardinals. Even though the Panthers are playing some really good ball right now,
they have a decent defense too, right?
They have a really strong defense, but that should be a really good football game. They didn't play each other this year. Now the first game, actually that is the first game. The late game on Saturday is the Ravens at Pittsburgh. These teams play in the same division. The home team won both games early. I think it was a fairly close game when Pittsburgh went to Baltimore. Baltimore won, and then Baltimore went to Pittsburgh.
That was the 6-touchdown game, wasn't it? When Ravens went to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that's when Ben Roethlisberger. Now Le'Veon Bell is doubtful.
Yeah, how is that a legal hit to hit someone that low in the open field like that? I mean, he about broke his damn leg.
Yeah, but because they're always complaining about hitting too high and aiming for the head.
Well,
so now everybody goes for the knees. I mean,
they should just dress them all in sumo suits then and just let them run into each other.
Like George said, I said, you got that split second to where you've got to decide. You've got a target like this big that you've got to go out and go after, and a guy's moving and he's not moving in a straight line. So you've just got that split second. So they're just, I mean, you can't win. You can't win. You hit them too low, somebody's going to complain. You hit them too high, you're getting flagged and fined.
I figured out why Le'Veon Bell does that stutter step. It's because he is stoned every time he's playing.
Do I go this way? Nah.
Nah, man.
He fakes himself out. So how do you know where he's going if he don't know where he's going?
I just love how he got in trouble for that and then had his best season. It's ridiculous.
Once they got rid of LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, right. Where he went off to the Patriots and they're leading their division.
How do you not smoke dope with the last name like Blunt?
I know. It's a given. It's a given.
Yeah, you just smoke weed and punch Boise State linemen in the.
That should be a good game though. That Pittsburgh Ravens game, but I mean the Ravens are so iffy. You know what I mean? Like they could go either way.
Yeah, it's right. Well, the Ravens got a banged up secondary. Pittsburgh's got their starting running back out. Well, most likely he's going to be out, so they're going to have a rookie, Dre Archer, coming in. Steelers are a 3-point favorite, which basically means when the home team's a 3-point favorite, it's an even ball game. I like the Baltimore. I think Forsett may have tweaked his ankle, but I don't see anything on the injury report.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the Baltimore Ravens. Even though it depends on how banged up the Ravens second. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. How about that?
Okay.
It may be just like when these teams play for the most part, especially in the playoffs. The team that has the ball last is probably going to win. But with Pittsburgh's going to be one-dimensional if Le'Veon Bell's out. They're not going to run. They're going to pass. Ravens banged up secondary. I don't know. I just see it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know what I would do in that game. I'd probably stay away from it.
I mean, they still
go over 46.5.
The Steelers still have Antonio Brown, too, which is a huge asset.
Yeah, probably the best receiver in the league right now. I mean, I think he's got the second most receptions this year in NFL history, I think. Maybe I read that wrong. Marvin Harrison's number one with like 140. I have to check that out. Maybe during break I'll check it out.
All right, we'll take a look at that. Do we want to take a quick break and then come back and analyze the rest of them and then move into NFL or college?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll go ahead and take a little break.
All right, cool. Yeah, because we went over the Cardinals, Panthers, and Ravens, Steelers. So we'll come back and take a peek at the other two games that are going on between January 3rd and the 4th. And you guys take a break, get a glass of water, and then press that space bar to start us up again. And we are back from halftime. Thank you for sticking with us. We were in the middle of talking about the NFL playoff picture, and we discussed the Ravens playing Pittsburgh and also the Cardinals playing the Panthers.
Yep.
And we have a couple more games to discuss.
Yep. You got the, let's see, bring it up. The Colts are hosting the Bengals, which have played one time prior this year.
Have you ever noticed that Andy Dalton kind of looks like a cat? Like he actually has the face of a cat?
Like a Bengal?
Like a Bengal. And he's got red hair. I think he was made to play for that team.
Yeah, well, if he don't pick up his postseason success, he's going to be made to play for another team.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They played earlier in the season at the Colts, and the Colts won like 27-0.
But as of late, the Colts have been terrible. What is going on?
Yeah, they have a terrible offensive line. Their defense isn't good away from home, and Dallas beat the dog crap out of them. Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you did. You did. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, so right now it looks like that game. Who's the favorite? Let's see, I just had it up. The Colts are a 3-point favorite, so basically even game. AJ Green is iffy. I know he got hurt, so that kind of boosts Mohamed Sanu's value. But I mean, if you're going into that game with Mohamed Sanu as your top passing threat, I mean that's not really boding well. Now Jeremy Hill, he's been lighting it up. Giovanni Bernard, he hasn't done anything since he came back. Because Jeremy Hill has pretty much taken over
his
that
job.
backfield.
Yeah.
Jermaine Gresham's had a couple good games, but I don't know. But
I heard they were going to have Jeremy Hill run for the Bengals and the Colts since they have no running game on the Colts at all.
The Colts is terrible. Trent Richardson just needs to get out of the league. He's terrible.
He is. I don't even understand it.
I do. He's terrible.
He's just awful.
But they have a good passing game. I mean, they have a terrible offensive line, so very seldom does he have enough time. But they have, T.Y. Hilton's good. Hakeem Nicks is decent. Coby Fleener and Dwayne Allen, their tight ends are great.
Is Dwayne Allen still injured, though?
I think so. But, so basically that game, I'm honestly not – that's the early game on Sunday. I'm going to watch it. It's NFL playoffs, but it maybe of all the games over the weekend, that may be my least excited game to watch.
I agree.
But the 4 o'clock game or 4:40 game might have a little vested interest in that.
Well, and I imagine you're a little bit more excited with the fact that one of their biggest defensive threats is suspended.
Yeah, I mean, that helps a little bit. We
game.
weren't scared of him anyway. It's showing Dallas is a 7-point favorite, which seems kind of high, but it's kind of the game where one of these quarterbacks, both of them have had terrible postseason success and terrible crunch time success. So finally, one of these two quarterbacks is going to get that proverbial monkey off their back. Proverbial, like that. I didn't even have to say
I like that, though.
So basically, one of those two teams. But both these teams have good quarterback, pretty much the same type quarterback. I put Romo probably a notch or two above Matthew Stafford. They both have top 3 receiver in the league. Calvin Johnson for Detroit.
Dez Bryant
on the other side of the ball. Detroit has no tight end. They have a decent running game. Joyce Bell, greater than Reggie Bush.
Don't forget about Golden Tate. Golden Tate's a pretty good receiver as well.
He's a good serviceable guy. So the receivers, kind of take as a wash. Where this game's going to be won is on Dallas offensive line against the defensive line of Detroit. and then Detroit's offensive line against Dallas's defense. So in the trenches, basically, is where this game is going to be won. I don't look for it to really be a defensive struggle. I mean, I don't know. This game's too tough to call. I mean, I really like to see Dallas get that. I mean, just for Tony Romo and because Dallas has been 8-8, and everybody, going into the season, everybody was saying we're going to have the worst defense in the league.
Mhm.
We have no shot at doing anything. And then all of a sudden, after we were like 4-1, then people started kind of riding the Dallas train. Lost
It's
to
weird
it.
how that happens,
Yeah.
isn't it? I've never heard of that before.
The Dallas
When
train.
people just ride the Dallas
Yeah,
train.
you can go wherever you want in Dallas. But yeah, so everybody kind of jumps on that train. Dallas had lost 2 in a row, and I was like, uh-oh. They're 8-6 or whatever, 8-5. I think we were at the time. They were like, people were kind of like, they can still go. No, it had to be like 7-4, I think, because we ended up 12. We ended up, matter of fact, tied for the best record in the league at 12-4. Did I mention that?
No, but you can now.
Okay.
You just
Dallas
did.
tied for the league at 12. But anyway, that game should be a fun one to
I
watch.
mean, I was giving the win to the Cowboys anyway, as it was, just because I think they're, based on the performance this season, a more solid team than Detroit. Detroit has been, Matt Stafford could easily throw 4 interceptions.
Let's see what they did. Let's see, kind of look at their schedule and see who all they played. Now I know they're in their division was. I mean, all they really had was Green Bay because Chicago turned out to be a dud. Minnesota is what it is. So some quality wins on the road. They lost at Carolina. I mean, that came out.
The funny thing is no one else heard that because our microphones won't pick that up. So I'm just looking in for nothing. But there was a loud sound that came from his laptop. I promise you.
I think it was Michelle Trainer. But their games, they won at New York. Barely won at New York. The Jets.
Mm-hmm.
They won at Minnesota. Won at Atlanta by a point.
Whose team are we going over right now?
We're kind of checking out what Detroit's done on the
Detroit.
road.
Gotcha.
This is a big game. We got to analyze this.
Because that's what we're paid for.
Exactly. Are we getting? Are you getting a paycheck?
Shh.
They lost Arizona, New England. So all the top teams on the road, they lost to. Any team would look like with a winning record, they lost to on the road.
I told you the only thing that you have to worry about is that Dallas is playing at home because they're undefeated on the road. Other than that,
Yeah. Other than that, they were undefeated on the road. Then they were like 4-4 at home, I think.
mm-hmm.
So that's. I mean, gosh, we could have just one more game. We'd had home field throughout.
Yep.
But a lot of teams can say one more game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely not complaining. Dallas at home. I mean, the first game of the season was a fluke. San Francisco.
Let me ask you this though.
What do you want
Because
to ask me?
the road, if I'm reading this right, the road would lead through Seahawks, right?
Correct.
I mean, do you think that is this just going to be one playoff game and that's it? You think they really can beat the Seahawks?
Dallas?
Yeah.
They did earlier in the season. They went to Seattle and beat them.
But the Seahawks, they've been.
But if Dallas wins, Dallas goes to Green Bay.
All right. Well, do you think they can really beat Green Bay?
I think they may be one of the only teams that can beat Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is playing a little banged up. Ndamukong Suh basically broke his ankle in half with his fat ass. But
They,
sorry, I hate that guy, man. He makes me so mad.
see, Dallas has the right recipe to beat a lot of teams. They play middle of the road defense, good enough. They control the clock. You don't like Dallas, or is that something different?
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of anybody, but
But definitely not Dallas.
But if I had to choose,
Matt likes the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
big fan of the Montreal Alouettes.
Alouettes.
But okay, so all right, we're saying Cowboys beat the Lions,
All right,
basically.
so let's give our predictions. How about that? Let's
All
give
right,
our
I like
predictions.
that.
Do you
I
want to
like
give
that.
predictions?
Yes,
Do you know who's playing?
yes.
Okay.
We've gone over this.
I
yes.
just didn't know if you remember.
All right,
Who's Rasul Butler?
He plays for the Wizards. All right, so Cardinals and Panthers. Who are we going with here?
Cardinals and Panthers. I like the Cardinals. You know, who do I like? Come on, ask
That's
me.
true.
Put the Cardinals. I'm not jumping off that.
That's
Even
true.
if it's Ryan Lindley, I'm still a Cardinal. Me and Brad, Uncle Bruce.
Yeah, you're.
Come on.
I mean, he can't take you out of the will, you know.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go with Carolina in this one.
Okay. so
I think that I don't know, Cam Newton's a little overrated, but I think he adds a dimension to the team that's
Played
just not
great
there.
last week.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe something happened to him like Rookie of the Year. You know the movie Rookie of the Year where the kid breaks his arm and then he can throw like 100-mile-per-hour balls?
Yeah.
Perhaps after he did something to his lower back, he just became absolute Superman.
So you got Carolina going to Carolina going to Green Bay. I got Arizona going to Green Bay.
Yep.
All right. So who do you like in the other NFC matchup? Cowboys at Lions, or Lions at Cowboys? How about that?
I'm gonna say the Cowboys. I mean, as much as makes me sick to say it, I'm gonna say the Cowboys.
All right. So we both have Dallas going to Seattle.
Right.
All right. Then let's go to the AFC side.
Okay.
What do you like in Baltimore at Steelers?
Without Le'Veon Bell, I'm gonna say the Ravens. If Le'Veon Bell for some reason can play, I don't think he'll be able to, but if he can, I'm gonna say the Steelers. I think he's that big of a game changer.
Yeah, I had really liked the Ravens. And I was listening to another radio show on ESPN Radio. Kevin Sheehan, he was talking about he was up talking the Ravens. That was one of his best picks. You know what? I'm changing my mind. I'm going with the Steelers.
You did that on purpose. You set me up.
You can pick who you want. How'd I set you up? So I think with the Ravens secondary just being so banged up, and the Steelers having, Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, and then, of course, Antonio Brown, along with the veteran like Heath Miller. And Ben Roethlisberger's playing. He's having the best season of his career. Mm-hmm. I think that passing game is just going to be a little too much, and I think they win this game by a decent amount like they did earlier in the season. Okay. All right, Bengals at Colts.
I am going to say, oh, man. I'm going to say the Bengals.
You like the Bengals? So you think
so
them getting blown out there earlier in the year, you think they're just going to come back and say,
I don't know. Like, it's unexplainable other than the fact you just said the offensive line for the Colts is just doo-doo. It's amazing to me. I literally would have thought the Colts would have gone in and beat Dallas the last time they met, and they got completely blown out. It's hard to say. Plus, the Browns game. I mean, you saw that game too, right? When the Colts played the Browns?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And the Bengals, their defense isn't bad, right?
Speaking of the Bengals, I owe Brian a lunch. Remember me and Brian? I bet they wouldn't go to the playoffs. He bet they would go to the playoffs.
I did not know this, but you know what? You do. He deserves that.
And he doesn't deserve it, but I'll give it to him. And by the way, me and Conway did both. I'll have to look back and we'll pull up our predictions preseason, but I know me and him both had the Steelers winning the division, which they did. I don't know. In that game, I think I'd have to go with man, that's a tough one. I haven't really put too much stock in that, but I'm going to go with the Colts.
Okay.
I think it's Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck greater than Andy Dalton.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
So I think that alone.
They have no running game. They've got nothing to build off of. You know what I mean? Like,
that is true. Is Pittsburgh that much better than the Colts to where Pittsburgh can just lay the wood to the Bengals the other night and then they're just going to go on the road second week in a row and burn the Colts? I don't know.
You know what? I have no idea. I don't know. This is why you're the expert and I'm the host.
I am an expert, right, Matt?
It's very true.
I'm an expert at cooking orange chicken.
All right. So do we go over the rest, or are we going to wait till the next show to go over the rest?
Show.
Okay. Once we know the playoff picture. Yeah. Gotcha.
So what we'll do, if you want, speaking of playoffs, while we got enough time, we can go to the NCAA playoffs.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
What do you think about that? Are you set up for that? You ready? You got all your stuff together?
Oh, yeah. I'm just making a mark here.
All right. So the games that are tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, the Ole Miss TCU game, TCU's a 3.5-point favorite. They got a lot to play for because they feel like they were snubbed as well, and they feel like they deserve to be in there. So TCU's 3.5-point favorite over Ole Miss. I like TCU in that ball game. The other game, Boise State, Arizona, I don't really care about, so I'm not even going to talk about that. Mississippi State and Georgia Tech. Mississippi State's a 7-point favorite. I would take the over in this game. They might score 615 points in this, but the over-under is only 61. So I would have to take the over. I think both these teams they're definitely capable of putting up a lot of points, and I think they will. 10-2 Mississippi State. I like them to come out on top as well too, over 10-3 Georgia Tech. What do you think about Mississippi State, Georgia Tech?
I think they're both terrible places to live. No, I don't know. I've never been to either one.
You never been to Mississippi or Georgia?
I've been through Georgia on my way to Texas. I actually drove through.
Is Georgia on the way to Texas?
It is. Well, yeah, I went through Route 10. Well, I stopped in North Carolina first and then went over and then took Route 10 all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I actually hit that Hotlanta traffic.
Hotlanta, huh? I have been to Georgia, as a matter of fact. I went for a Supercross.
Oh,
went to Tattletales.
Is that a motorcycle thing?
Yeah, and then we went to strip club Tattletales.
That's awesome. That's a great name.
It was. The bill wasn't awesome when we left there, but everything else.
But the memories will last forever.
They will too. See, the money comes and goes, but the memories, Matt, the memories.
Mm-hmm.
That's That's what it's all about. And next to the base, that's what it's all about. All right, then we'll talk about the Thursday games. This is where it gets good. 8-4 Auburn and 10-3 Wisconsin. I'll never get off Wisconsin, but I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay with them. True. They're catching 6.5 points against Auburn. I think Wisconsin wins this game. And then the Outback Bowl at Tampa, Florida. Who do you like? Auburn, Wisconsin.
I'm gonna go ahead with Wisconsin. Badgers, right?
They are the Badgers.
I'm always about the Badgers.
You're all about the Badgers.
All about that Badgers, boss.
Living it up on Bourbon Street. Then we got Michigan State at 10-2. We're playing 11-1 Baylor. Michigan State had a couple losses, but they really, really wanted to be in the. Well, I guess like any team,
They really wanted to be.
They really wanted, man. Let them in.
Man.
But they felt like they had a good enough team to be there. I think they should. Both these teams. Baylor got jumped by the last minute, by Ohio State to get into it, so they've got something to play for. I like for this to be one of the best games you're going to see throughout the College Bowl series. Baylor's giving up 2.5. I'm going to stay on Michigan State. I think Michigan State's got too much defense for Baylor. I think Baylor's got you don't get 11-1 without playing some good defensive games. I just think Michigan State's a little more rounded than Baylor. I like Michigan State to win this ball game in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic at Arlington, Texas.
I agree with you.
I love this segment.
This is great. Well, you're the professor.
Yeah, see, I'm just going over the games. I'm not getting too many nuggets. Another game, the 1:00 game, Missouri, Minnesota. Guess what? Not talking about that game. In the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl at Orlando, Florida.
Sounds delicious.
Then you got the 5:00 game on Thursday. You got the number 2 Oregon Ducks, 12-1, playing the 13-0, number 3 ranked Florida State Seminoles.
Undefeated and 3rd ranked.
I know.
Incredible.
They're not getting any respect. Somebody in Vegas, the odds makers, they're not giving them any respect because they're a 9-point underdog.
The Junkies were talking about the possibility of if Jameis fell to the 5th pick, should
Washington take him?
Should Washington take him? I immediately almost pulled over the car just because I almost fainted from that thought. That's
all they need is Jameis Winston.
Yeah,
there,
that'd be wonderful.
as if things aren't bad enough for him.
Yes, I agree. So who are you taking in this one? Did you say that already?
No, but I think a lot of people are going to be on Oregon picking it, but that 9 is a big number.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to. I mean, Florida State's 13-0. They haven't been beaten. People just constantly disrespect them. They've got a lot to play for. I'm going Florida State.
I think they can play up to their competition.
Yeah, Oregon's always good for a couple. Well, they've had one letdown game against Arizona earlier on. They're always good for letdown games.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm on board with you there as well, Florida State. I don't know. They're undefeated.
All right, so we got right now it's 1/2 the championships of Florida State. Then we got that's the Rose Bowl presented by Northwest Mutual in Pasadena,
California.
You know what the Rose Bowl? What is the nickname of the Rose Bowl? What did Keith Jackson call it? You don't know.
The pedal pusher? I have no idea what.
The granddaddy of them all.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So that's the granddaddy of them.
I'll remember that now.
All right, the 8:30 game, the late game, you got number 1 Alabama 12-1 playing number 4 12-1 Ohio State in the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana, living it up on Bourbon Street.
Living it up on Bourbon Street, yeah.
Alabama laying 9 in this game as well. Both these semifinal games are there's a 9-point favorite in here. The line's the same. But this one's going to be a tough one to call. The game, if JT Barrett was playing instead of the third stringer for Ohio State, maybe a little bit better. But what they did with Wisconsin with that kid in there was saying a lot. I just don't know if they have that kind of magic here as well. I'm going to take Alabama in this game.
Well, telling from their last meeting on January 2nd, 1995.
That was their last meeting?
I mean, that's what it says here.
And what happened?
Alabama won 24-17 in the Citrus Bowl.
Oh.
Last bowl meeting.
So Ohio State would have covered if the line was the same.
Yeah, I doubt it was at the time though.
You don't know.
I don't know. We should research
You weren't
that.
betting in 95. I was betting in 95. You weren't betting in 95.
How old was I in 95? I think I was 10. I was 10 years old in 95.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you were young.
Yeah, I
was
look very old.
I was like 17.
You were betting when you were 17?
Definitely betting.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to take Alabama. So I'm going to have Alabama, Florida State, and the championship. And you're going to have who?
The same.
And who do you like to win that ball game? Alabama will be a 10-point favorite. That's what I'm guessing.
I just feel like Florida State can repeat. I feel like they can do it.
Oh, I definitely feel like they can, but I'm going to have to take Alabama. I think Blake Sims, TJ Yeldon, the other kid they have at running back, Amari Cooper. I think they're just stacked. Lane Kiffin just predicted they just scored their first touchdown. And when he just predicted not against Ohio State, but he's just doing this because they just scored the first touchdown against Florida State. So the man's he sees everything. So I've got Alabama over Florida State.
So whatever you're doing on New Year's Day, I'm sure some of you will be watching the Winter Classic.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me about the Winter Classic. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, the Caps are playing the Chicago Blackhawks in Nats Park, and it's the winter, and it's a classic game. I mean, that's about it. Open air hockey game. I mean, that's got to be a cool environment, though.
Yeah.
I heard the tickets are like $300+ a seat.
Guess who wouldn't spend it for that?
This guy, who also, another firm thing that would never happen is ever going to a professional soccer game.
Death taxes and never going to a professional soccer
or
game.
Paying for the Winter Classic hockey game. But yeah, so if you're not doing just that, you should watch these games. 5 o'clock, Florida State versus Oregon. 8:30 p.m., Alabama versus Ohio State. Big ticket games right there.
That's it.
I think that's pretty much it for the show today.
Yeah, I think we covered, we pretty much touched on everything we need to touch on.
We nailed it all, man. We're living that life on Bourbon Street.
We are.
That's awesome. All right, well, hey, that's it for us here. For the Three Frosted Mugs, I'm Rodney. That's Chad. Thank you to our producer, Matt.
That's Matt.
Matt was double dutying today, running the equipment and eating Chinese food. Man of many talents over here. And teaching himself how to play the guitar all at the same time. It was all happening.
All of it.
Skilled.
It's amazing. Big thank you to AJ Studios for the post-production and graphics work and going through the mess that we record and trying to figure out when we're saying things. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, AJ Studios.
You can watch more of these episodes at www.threefrostedmugs.com. That's www.threefrostedmugs.com. This is our last episode before the new year, so definitely want to wish a happy new year to those that are watching.
That's it.
You can contact us on our Three Frosted Mugs Facebook page or tweet us at Three Frosted Mugs. That's frosted with no vowels, FRSTD. With any questions, comments related to the show, sports, or anything else you want to talk about. Wish us a happy new year on there as well.
That's it.
Thanks again for watching. Tune in next time as it'll be a new year. And as always, may all your parlay dreams come true. Living it up on Bourbon Street,
Yeah.
Living it up on Bourbon Street, yeah. Living it up on Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Living it up on Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Living it up on Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Living